The electricity flowing through your walls right now is doing something so precise and so fragile that it borders on the miraculous. Across an entire continent, every power plant and every device drawing power is spinning in near perfect synchrony, thousands of them locked together 60 times a second. And stay with me, because the most alarming fact about that arrangement I have saved for the very end. Start with what the grid actually is. The power in your home is alternating current, which means it does not flow in one steady direction. It oscillates back and forth like a wave. In much of the world, that wave repeats 50 times a second, in others 60. That number is the grid's frequency, and it is not a loose guideline. It is a heartbeat the entire system must share. And here is the astonishing part. Every single generator feeding the grid across a whole continent must spin in lockstep, producing that wave in perfect step with all the others. Picture thousands of spinning machines, hundreds of miles apart, all turning in flawless unison as if joined by one invisible axle. Fall out a step, even slightly, and you are suddenly fighting the entire grid at once. Because the frequency is really a measure of balance. It stays at exactly 50 or 60, only when the power being generated precisely matches the power being consumed, moment to moment. The instant demand outstrips supply, the whole grid slows and the frequency dips, generate too much and it speeds up. That number is a live readout of a tightrope walk between supply and demand, happening every second of every day. And I find this genuinely astonishing, because there is almost no storage in it. The electricity you are using right now was generated a fraction of a second ago. It is not sitting in some giant battery waiting for you. Supply must be conjured to match demand in real time, constantly, or the balance breaks. We built our entire civilization on a system that has to be perfectly balanced, live, forever, with almost nothing held in reserve. So somewhere, right now, grid operators are watching that frequency like a heartbeat on a monitor, nudging power plants up and down, second by second, to hold it steady as millions of people switch things on and off without a thought. When a nation puts the kettle on during an advert break, someone, somewhere, has to instantly find that surge of power. The grid is a permanent, silent act of balancing. And here is why the lockstep is so dangerous. Because everything is connected and synchronized, a failure does not stay local. If one big part of the grid fails, the sudden imbalance ripples outward at the speed of electricity, and other parts can be dragged down with it, tripping off to protect themselves in a cascade. The very connection that makes the grid strong is also how a single fault can spread across a continent in seconds. This is not hypothetical. In 2003, a single overgrown tree branch touched a power line in Ohio, and a software bug hit the alarm from the operators. Within hours, that one local fault had cascaded across the northeastern United States and Canada, and 50 million people were plunged into darkness. A tree branch, amplified by the grid's own connectedness, took out the power for a population the size of a country. Now, you would assume the fix is simply more connection, more machines. But here is the twist the modern grid is wrestling with. Those big spinning generators, coal, gas, nuclear, provide something invisible and vital. Their sheer heavy momentum resists sudden changes in frequency, like a flywheel steadying the whole system. Solar panels and wind, for all their virtues, do not spin like that. As we retire the old machines, we are quietly removing the grid's shock absorbers and scrambling to invent new ways to keep the beat. Which is the strange truth humming behind every socket. The power grid is not a passive network of wires. It is a living continent-spanning machine, balanced on a knife edge, second by second, kept in perfect synchrony by a constant invisible effort. We think of electricity as always simply being there. It is really always being caught in mid-air, just in time. So here is the alarming fact I promised. The lights in your home stay on only because, at this very instant, a continent's worth of machines are spinning in flawless unison, and an unseen effort is balancing supply against demand to a razor's edge. Let that balance slip by a fraction, and the darkness does not fall on your house alone. A whole continent's power spins in perfect lockstep and drift by a fraction, and the lights go out for everyone.